about?
Oh, yeah. Good of the hat.
What hat? What does it say?
You want that hat?
John Cena gave up, and now I'm gonna give up on that bitch.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, Jake, can I go home?
You are home.
We need counseling.
Oh.
Yeah, for Katie.
To correct Derek and Dad, they said that I went down and it was a 7 or 8 foot drop. It was a 7-meter drop, the tallest commercially rafted waterfall in the world. And then I had to drive in the dark, and I
Was it scary?
I was on edge. Okay, like, I'm not trying to be dramatic, but I was seriously close to having an asthma attack last night.
Welcome to Bakers Banter.
Wow, wow, wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gents, ladies and Jesus, ladies man.
Oh, wow.
Welcome to WrestleMania 41 season.
I think there's something a little bit more pressing than WrestleMania, in my opinion.
Welcome to Derek Baker's birthday podcast.
Oh yeah, today's my birthday.
Birthday boy.
Happy, happy birthday. May all your dreams come true. I wish it was my birthday so I could party too. Woo! Woo! Except for we will party, right?
We are having a party tonight.
Pizza party.
Just
we are
for
gonna have a party.
you.
It's gonna be pizza. It's gonna be cake. It's gonna be NXT.
What, how old are you?
28.
How is that possible?
Wow, you're old.
Not that old.
Pretty old.
Not as old as her.
You're 5 years older than me right now.
Maybe
For 3 weeks.
you and I are the oldest.
We are the oldest.
I'm sorry, did Derek
Oldest
just claim?
power.
Did Derek just claim being the middle child?
Kind of.
Sounded like it.
Yeah. All right.
No, I am not in the middle. You're in the middle. We are the oldest.
This makes
How's that work?
Oldest
The
power.
math ain't math.
The math is not mathing for sure, but that's okay. You did get some birthday messages today.
Yeah, I did have a lot of birthday messages. One of his mom this morning.
I did.
Well, I have
Yes.
some birthday messages to relate to you.
Well, I will definitely hear them. But first, I got some more messages on my birthday. One, we got Jared.
Mm-hmm. Shout out.
Shout
Shout
out.
out to Jared. He did call me during a Humane Society. Plus, I did bring some brownies to the Humane Society.
Did
so
your friends enjoy the brownies?
They did.
Good.
They actually get 2 left.
So sweet of you to share treats on your birthday.
So I did that for the Humane
Are
Society.
you sure you didn't bring them and hide them in the laundry room and eat them all yourself?
No.
Are you sure?
He did tell me when he was leaving there was 2 left. And I'm like, why didn't you bring one to me? And then I was like, I'm kidding. Let's go. Don't turn
we
around.
got cake tonight.
And that's what
We
he
got
said. He said there
We
will
got
be cake.
Mom made a double batch.
Double cake.
Ooh.
Big cake.
So I have some special birthday messages. I posted on Instagram about your birthday today. And
did.
we got a comment from the lovely Maxine Dupree.
Aww.
Is he gonna bring us to the WrestleMania?
No, but she did
said
say
happy
happy birthday.
Queen.
And of course, our good buddy Dominic did send a message as well.
Oh, so nice.
And they both
Why you
wished,
call, Dom?
they both wished you happy birthday on Instagram.
That's so nice. You're a lucky boy.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
That is pretty cool.
And you kind of got a birthday gift.
You did get a birthday gift. Do you want to go ahead and do that first? I mean, we can call it a birthday gift. It is your birthday and it's a gift.
Well,
So
I don't know about it.
I don't know if it was intentionally a birthday gift,
But we'll take it.
Okay. Here we go.
Here we go.
Oh, this is a nice shirt.
Talking to your mic.
This is very nice.
Okay, who's got
Back's
ESPN?
super cool.
Notifications happening.
Justin Ashley.
Oh.
Justin
Let me
Ashley.
see the back butt.
That
That's a cool
is the
shirt.
It is.
Driver.
Our friend Justin. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you,
Skag.
Justin.
Can I see the front?
I wonder when they're
Well,
coming back to town.
Well, We got party in the front.
And a bigger party in the back.
I would call it business in the front, party in the back, I think is what you were shooting for.
That's like that's
We got the front and party in the back.
We
top
got the
fuel dragster is what it says. NHRA. Thank you so much, NHRA driver Justin Ashley.
Thank you, Justin. That's very kind.
Well, so I was on my honeymoon, and I was trying to find a shirt for you, and I found this cool shirt that I liked for Dad. And I was like, it was buy one, get one free. So I was like, well, I'll just get one for Dad and one for Derek. The only problem is...
And this one's mine.
Yes. The only problem is the only color I could find an XL in was white.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, we don't buy Derek white shirts.
He likes to ruin them.
He doesn't like
Shut
to
up,
ruin
Katie.
them.
He tends
Him
to
and
ruin
Ryan
them.
have that in common.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I bought a 6-pack of shirts for Christmas, extra larges. And I was giving 2 to Derek, 2 to Ryan, and 2 to Chris. And there was a white one, and the white one was definitely going to Chris.
Yes. Except for you ended up buying
But then
a pack
I bought a
that
different pack.
didn't have the white. But you did give the lightest colors to Chris.
Yeah.
Because he's the most
Trustworthy with his food
But
going in his mouth and
to
not on
be-
his shirt.
To be honest, I don't know what happened to me, but
Yeah, Jenna's
Well,
not very
before
trustworthy
we
with that,
get to
apparently,
that,
especially
Jen,
not on airplanes.
Can we talk about last week on the podcast? Real quick. It was chaotic.
yeah, what the heck? Derek asked me. He said, "So how'd I do?" And before he asked me how I did,
Daddy and I were jumping throats, and apparently that podcast went viral.
I don't know
Jumping
about that.
throats.
I don't know about it going viral, but it was chaos. But
That's
I
exactly what the Bakers Banter is
It
about.
was very entertaining hearing you and Dad go back and forth. And
We were bickering multiple
I
times.
also appreciated very much how efficient Dad was getting through the rest of that laundry list of wrestling facts you wanted to go through.
well, Dad, I
Very
picked
true.
up Derek today, and he was not listening to me. And I
Shocker.
said, "Would you be a freaking listener?" And I snapped at him a bit, of course, whatever, lost my patience because he was not listening. And I was asking a very simple request, like, don't leave your dirty tissues in my car door, put them in your pocket and throw them away. But he wasn't listening. And then we moved on. We kept going with our day, and we start I'm listening to the podcast with him and Dad. And he's like, "So how was the podcast?" And I was like, "Well, you're not a very good listener." And he's like, "Well, I thought we dropped that." And I'm like, "No, on the podcast. You weren't a very good listener." I'm like, "No, it's just a recurring theme." I was like,
It
"Dad was
was-
trying to talk about a topic, and you would not let him, and you weren't being a very good listener."
bickering. That's exactly what we would do. Now you and I are bickering. They're talking about Eric freaking Baker.
Well,
Not
who's
listening
the
is one of
common
Derek's
denominator
biggest
here?
My
Who's the common
students, too.
denominator?
Derek, you and my students have this in common. You're all really good at not listening.
Katie, not now about your students.
There was bickering.
offense.
There was bickering going on that podcast, and there's bickering going on this podcast. And the thing is,
Well,
you're the only
that
one.
started of it.
You're the only one that was here for both of them.
Okay, it's his birthday. Can we talk about?
Which means it's time to make fun of him. And
Can we be
Shut up,
nice?
Catherine, or else you will get a middle finger on my birthday.
what are you going to do about it, Derek?
He already
okay,
gave her
okay.
the middle finger.
Oh,
Even though it's my birthday, triple digits.
That's 2.
I don't understand.
well, the first one makes 3.
Jenna, Mom, do it.
Oh, you want me to help you?
No.
1, 2, 3.
3. Okay. You're welcome.
It'll be
Okay,
like
can we just
28
be
though.
kind?
Oh boy, Mom.
I need
we
a
gotta be
vacation.
ourselves.
You're got one coming up, baby girl.
I know.
I need a vacation.
want
then you're
Back
gonna-
for a
you're
day.
No, you don't need a vacation. You need recuperation.
Derek's
Oh,
from
gonna
your
need a vacation after he has to deal with me and Jenna being in charge
For
for
2
3
weeks.
weeks.
Oh boy.
2.
I prefer to go to Las Vegas.
By
I bet
yourself?
you
Okay.
Maybe.
Maybe.
do. I don't
he
know if
says.
you went to Las Vegas by yourself, would you be making it back here?
Mm-hmm.
All in one piece.
All right. What are we talking about today? What we gonna talk about?
I don't know. Maybe we could talk about Miss
Was there something
Girl's
you wanted to talk
travel
about?
Oh,
adventures.
yeah. Good of the hat.
What hat? What does it say?
Do you want that hat?
John Cena gave up, and now I'm gonna give up on that bitch.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So for all of you out there in
Listening land.
listening land, now you know how Derek feels about John Cena's turn.
Yep.
Not happy.
And
He's
we
a
did have a hat
psychopath.
on display for months and months and months here, and Derek has put that kaput.
Yep. He's a psychopath.
Derek, you know he's an
He's a
actor.
psychopath. Police. actor. What do we get?
Okay, I don't know what you're saying.
You know, at
What do we
least people
get?
like
I
John
don't know.
Cena. At least people like John Cena get paid to act like a fool. You just do it for
Actor.
free.
you
Where
can
would
be
he get?
nice, Catherine.
Actor.
He's setting me up so good. I mean, look at him.
I know.
He is just on one today.
Okay.
He's
man.
so on one. He thinks he's the king of the world or
It's
something.
his
since It's
birthday.
April 8th.
It's his birthday. We had pre-birthday
Thank you, Mom.
celebrations.
It's my birthday too, almost.
What were your
Derek says
pre-birthday
my birthday's
celebrations?
his
Not your
birthday, so
birthday
if that's
yet.
the case, his birthday's my birthday.
Oh, Jake, can I go home?
You are home.
We need counseling.
Oh,
Yeah, for Katie.
I think you could use it too.
I
Okay,
don't need one,
okay.
bitch. She does.
Don't
Okay,
call me a bitch.
okay.
I'll kick you. Can I tell you about New Zealand?
I was cracking up at Derek and Dad calling it Hobbit Town.
Hobbit Town. Yeah. Oh, and to correct Derek and Dad, they said that I went down an 8-foot drop.
yeah.
It was a 7 or 8-foot drop, I believe is what Dad said. It was a 7-meter drop, which is much taller than 7 feet. And that equates to 23 feet, 23-foot drop.
Which is
Derek,
taller than this room.
It is, yes, definitely.
doubles.
It is the tallest commercially rafted waterfall in the world.
Wow.
In the world.
I know. I saw that on Snapchat.
Did you see my pictures?
Duh.
Those
All
were
of
so
it.
that looks so beautiful.
It was,
Hey,
okay,
you
so
paid a freaking koala bear.
I did pet a koala bear.
Damn.
I'm
this
so
girl's
jealous
good.
of that. He looks so sweet.
I actually learned so much, and I took a ton of notes
Did
because
you
I
hold
didn't
it?
want to forget anything. I did not hold the koala bear. I did get to touch the koala bear, though.
I'm
Oh,
shocked.
I just feel like I
Did
could
not
give
hold
him a big hug.
Dominic Mysterio did hold a koala bear, but you did not hold a
I
koala
almost
bear.
missed
Well,
my
Dominic
chance to hold the
Mysterio
koala-
is cooler than Jenna
touch
Baker.
the
so.
koala bear, but I did get the chance, luckily. But I actually learned so much. Can I teach you some things about New Zealand?
Yes.
It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. It is a really cool place, Mom. It is so cool. They have no snakes.
That I love.
No snakes.
How's that work?
Well, it's an island.
That's awesome.
So the only animals that are native.
What question?
Okay, what's your question?
Do you see Roman Reigns on that island?
I sure didn't.
Good.
Only
Because
no
he's a
longer-
snake.
Because he is no longer on that island.
okay. The only animals that are native to New Zealand are birds, no mammals,
Caw!
except 3 kinds of bats. So like pretty much only birds. And then like lizards and bugs, but no snakes. And the only animals that are there now are animals that have been introduced by people. And to be honest, they're kind of a problem. Like the goats and the sheep and the cows and the farming animals aren't a problem, but the smaller animals that are in the forests are a problem.
Why?
Rodents.
Because there are so many species of birds in New Zealand, like over 2,000 species of birds, and it's not very big.
How many species is that?
Over 2,000.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
That is a lot.
It's a lot.
More
but-
than the number of people invited to your birthday party.
Yes. But the problem is you can't, because of where they are able to live, like the big birds generally live high up in the trees, and then the smaller birds hide under the trees from the big birds, and then a lot of the birds actually live on the ground. And
Well,
because
That's really cool.
a lot of the birds live on the
You
ground,
know what else is pretty cool?
because a lot of the birds live on the ground, the mammals that have been introduced by people, like the New Zealand possum, and I say New Zealand specifically because it looks different than a normal possum that we're used to, a New Zealand possum, weasels, ferrets, stoats, didn't know what that was. It's like ferret. All of those
What
different
about toads?
mammals, no toads, all of those
Good.
different mammals that have been introduced eat the bird eggs of the birds that live on the ground. So they really impact
sucks.
the bird species really
That
negatively, which is why there's such a problem. And people in New Zealand refer to themselves as Kiwis. And the bird of New Zealand that you see all over the place is a kiwi. A kiwi is a nocturnal bird. It is related to the emu and the ostrich, but it's very, very small.
Kiwi is a fruit.
It's also
Kiwi
a fruit.
is a fruit. It is
Okay.
also a bird in New Zealand. But the Kiwis,
Fair
the people,
enough.
so one night we went out, and on the way home, we were driving home, and Chris accidentally hit a possum. And he felt really bad about it. You know how much Chris loves animals. He felt horrible. And the next day we went ziplining, and our guide, her name was Les. I showed her some of your videos. She was like, "Oh no, don't feel bad about that. The Kiwis hit him on purpose." And I was like, "Oh, well, good to know. Well, I'm happy we could take care of that for you." And they actually have traps all over the forests, the protected forests in New Zealand. They have all these traps all over the place to kill the parrots, but not parrots, ferrets, possums, stoats, weasels. All of those types of animals are a super big problem, and they have kill traps all over the place to get rid of them. And they go out and they check them every day, and they hope that there is those animals in them every day, because the more they kill, the less birds the other animals will kill. 68,000 birds are killed every single day in New Zealand.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
And it's not a very big place.
It's not very big. There's only 5 million people that live in New
That's a
Zealand.
So
lot.
they don't have koalas or kangaroos in New Zealand?
No, those are only in Australia. And there's
Speaking
5 million
of-
people that live in
speaking of
all
that-
of New Zealand, and there's also 5 million people that live in Sydney alone. So it's a very big, it's a very small population.
I have a big question.
What's your question?
Biggest question. And this question is Devon a part of Australia?
Australia.
Last year, Elimination Chamber did went to Australia,
Perth.
Mm-hmm.
Perth, Australia.
Yes.
Did you saw any WWE trucks?
They're still hanging out there.
I saw no WWE trucks. I saw no WWE superstars. I did see a little girl wearing a Yeet shirt,
I knew it.
and I did text you about it, and I said I just saw a little girl wearing a Yeet shirt, and Derek responded in all caps, "Yeet, yeet, 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 yeet." And I did
All caps.
resist the urge to
Yeet.
yell "yeet" at her because I didn't want to scare her, and I didn't know if she spoke English. So I really didn't want to startle her and then not be able to tell her why I was yelling "yeet" at her.
Well, and there's the possibility of her parents putting her in a Yeet shirt, even though she doesn't actually really know what her Yeet
And
shirt means.
I learned that over there they actually find American sports gear to be like pretty cool and vintage. So you see a lot of them wearing like vintage things. And I saw one guy wearing a vintage Chiefs shirt at the zoo in Auckland, and I did say "Go Chiefs" to him, and he looked at me like I had 7 heads. He had no idea what I was talking about. And then he kind of like looked down at his
7
shirt and
heads.
he was like, "Yeah, okay, cool." Like he obviously didn't actually care about the Chiefs. And so then I was fearful of commenting on anyone's sports gear, because turns out they just wear it because they think it looks cool, not because they know anything about it. So I didn't make that mistake twice.
You said just now you didn't know if she spoke English. Do New Zealanders, is English not their first language?
No, English is their first language, but she could have been from another country.
Well, yeah, sure.
She didn't have, like, she didn't,
She didn't look like a New Zealander?
not necessarily, no.
Okay.
So she, like, her family looked more foreign than people that are native to New Zealand. So I just, like, wasn't sure.
Understand.
And I also saw her at Hobbiton, which there was a lot of tourists
Right.
at Hobbiton. So I just like there was
She
a
went
lot
to
of
the land of the hobbits.
yeah, there was just a lot of people
New Zealand,
talking in
New
a lot of
Zealand,
different languages.
She went with her grumpy troll.
So, okay, Hobbiton was super, super cool. Hobbiton is where Lord of the Rings was filmed, Derek.
Well, that's really
It's
cool.
the Shire.
It's called the Shire. Well, all of New Zealand, all over New Zealand, there are different filming places for Lord of the Rings, but where the hobbits live is called the Shire, and the Shire is at one place in New Zealand. This is actually so cool. So the director, Peter Jackson, he was in a helicopter and they're looking for where they want to film the movie, and they find this farm and they literally just land on this property and go knock on the farmer's door and say, this is who we are, this is what we want to do. And the farmer's like, okay, yeah, I guess we can talk about it. And then now, you know, however many years later, the farmer is the CEO of Hobbiton. I don't know that he even farms anymore
Like
because his
like Mercedes Monet is the CEO.
Yeah.
he is the CEO of Hobbiton. And they started doing tours on the property because people started trespassing, and they would just like go to his property and sit under a tree and like be reading a book. Like they weren't doing anything bad, but it was private property. And so they're like, okay, well maybe we'll do a tour like once a week or once a month or something. And so then it went from once a month to once a week to now they do over 20 tours a day.
Yeah.
But it was super, super cool. And it was actually funny. So we get where you go to Hobbiton at like the visitor center is right off the main road, but then to get up into where they filmed the movies, you got to get on a bus with the tour guides. And so we get on the bus and they are like, okay, we've got just a couple minute drive to get over to the Shire. We're going to play a movie for you from a special message for you, and enjoy this movie. And the first joke the guy makes, he's like, and no, it's not Harry Potter. And like immediately takes a dig at Harry Potter fans. And I'm like, but of course I thought it was hilarious. But also I'm like, oh my God, okay,
That's funny.
noted. Don't make any jokes about Harry Potter. And then we go, and it was the tour we did was super, super cool. Like I guess they only do like 2 or 3, sometimes 3, mostly 2 a week. But it was this like late evening banquet tour. And we get to see all the things, learn a bunch of stuff. It's so cool, the detail. Like it's hard to even take in the detail. And we were there for 5.5 hours. And I feel like if I went again the next day, I would see all new details. But like even just the wood, like the wood was starting to rot, but they need the wood to look old in the fences and stuff. So they actually figured out a way to take new wood, put it in where there was rotting wood, and they have this vinegar process that they turn new wood into looking like old wood. And they were like, the only way to tell now if it's new wood or old wood is if you actually touch it. And the wood that's softer is actually the old wood that's like starting to go bad. And then the new wood is like really hard because it's almost like paper mache, but it's real wood. But like they've done this like process to it to make it look really old. And then like every single house. So some of the houses are built at 60% to the average human. Some of the houses are built at 90% to the average human. They use the different houses for different shots in the movie, but you never see a house built at 60% and 90% in the same shot because that would look weird, and they're 2 different sizes. So you only ever see 90% houses in 90% shots or 60% and 60% shots depending on what they're using them for. None of the houses that are there originally, you can't walk into them at all. There's only Bilbo's house, which is at the very top of the hill, was built in like 3 feet, and that was just because that was like the most used one, so they like had to build it in so there was enough room to look like people were going in there. But then actually all the shots that were shot in Hobbit houses were done other places in New Zealand. But 18 months ago, they built a two replica Hobbit houses. And so we actually got to go in and tour it. And I could not believe it just kept going. Like there was a bathroom and there was a sitting room and there was a bedroom and there was a kid's bedroom and then the kitchen and then the dining room. And it just kept going. I was like, where did this even come from? I didn't even know it was in here. And the next thing you know, you just kept walking and walking and walking. And Chris did hit his head.
I was going to say, when you walk in, is it something you had to like duck to get inside?
Yes, you
Chris
definitely had to
is a big
duck.
boy.
Did you have to duck once you were in the door actually
No,
walking?
but some people would. Like Andrew would
Andrew would
probably
have
have
to
to duck.
Yeah.
Like Andrew would probably have to like crouch a little bit the whole time he was in there. There was one man that was in there, but there was two Hobbit houses, so they took half our group in one and half our group in the other, and he was in the other group. But I looked at him and I looked at Chris and I said, "How did he get in there?" He was so big. And I was like, he was definitely ducking.
Were you in one that was built to 60% or 90%?
These were both built to 90% because it was basically like this has been open for however many years, and when they get feedback from people, the one thing everybody had said was like, this was such a cool experience, but we really wish we would have been able to go into a Hobbit house. So then people from the movie, the director, like other people that are very important in the making of Lord of the Rings came back and put their heads together to figure out like, what do we need this to look like in order to like make it feel real? And they like, I mean, the oven works, the stove works.
So cool.
That's awesome.
Like
It's so cool.
you can't open the toilet. We did try, but you can turn on some of the sinks. Like it is a fully functioning home. And
Maybe
you
I
just have
could
to shit outside.
move
they
in.
even go in and like put in fresh, like there's some like fresh fruit in there, and they like go in and do fresh dough. Like every couple of days they make fresh dough and put it in there. Like it was amazing. And then after that, there's a place called the Green Dragon, and at the Green Dragon, that's where the hobbits go and they drink beer, and they actually stay there in the film. You cannot stay there and
Wow.
on the
They drink
property.
beer?
They do drink beer. And so
Maybe I
we,
go.
Can you imagine a drunk hobbit?
so we went.
Maybe
It sounds feisty. Even more
maybe I
feisty
might
than a
have
drunk Derek.
Blue Moon or Bud Light.
No, they only have very special beer there. So they have a stout that they make and they serve, and they only serve it at the Green Dragon. You can only drink it if you go to New Zealand and visit it. You cannot buy it. They have other beers that they do sell that you can buy online or that you can buy in their gift store. But this specific stout, you can only make it and drink it while you're there.
Your eye looked like you were crying for a second. I just had to take it.
And
No, I just yawned.
Chris did have
Allergies.
the stout. I had the cider.
The stout is probably pretty heavy.
It was darker, yeah.
Yeah.
And I tried it, but I mean, it's a
It's
beer.
a beer.
But then the
You
food,
might not like
Beer's
it because you didn't like that. What was it? Guinness. Yeah.
Guinness.
Yeah.
Black and
the
blue.
food was unbelievable. There was like 40, somewhere between 40 and 45 people. Pretty sure like 35 of them were American. But the food was made by one chef. There was 3 tables. There was the same spread on each side of 3 tables. So there were 6 spreads. And there was a roasted chicken. There was salmon. There was vegetable pot pie. There was sweet potato casserole. There was I can't even remember all of it. There was
You said there was a lot of desserts.
lamb shanks. There was potatoes and carrots and a salad that nobody touched. And there was so much food. And then they send you
That's a
all
lot of food.
outside. You have another drink, and then you come back, and then they present dessert. And oh my gosh, I didn't know, but I had this dessert. I didn't even know what it was, but it was so freaking good. It was a date pudding, a sticky date pudding, but it's like a little pastry almost. Like it's not like a pudding. It's like
More like a
little-
bread pudding.
More like a bread, yeah. But it was so freaking good. There was like vanilla and butterscotch cream to pour on it, and they came out with an apple skillet, and just it was so decadent. And I've like never seen anything like it. It was so good. And then we just got to sit there with all these people who like love Lord of the Rings. And I did make a Harry Potter joke at that point though, because we had been there for like 4 hours and they had made multiple Harry Potter jokes. And we're sitting there and they're telling us that we need to leave after dinner so that they can clear the tables and then bring in dessert. And I was like, it would be really cool if they could do that cool trick like Harry Potter and just make it all disappear and bring out the dessert. And everybody got a chuckle out of it. But
Wow.
it was really cool though.
Potter.
And we met a lot of cool people. Like we met a couple from Wisconsin and a mother and daughter from Georgia. And then the girl sitting right next to me, get this, Derek. The girl sitting right next to me is from Alaska. Her and her husband live in Alaska. He's originally from Minnesota. I'm like, well, it's a good thing that you're from Minnesota, not like Florida, and now you live in Alaska. But I did ask them, if you ever go to Alaska, like, what do you have to do? And she actually said, you have to drive. Like, you have to drive yourself, because if you don't physically do the drive yourself, then you don't get to see all the things that deserve to be seen. And so I was like, okay, that's interesting. But Derek, she was born and her family lives in North Pole, Alaska.
Wow.
I bet she knows Santa.
Santa has a house there. She's been there. Santa lives there all year round. You can go visit his house in North Pole, Alaska.
That sounds pretty cool.
I did ask her because she kept saying North Pole, and finally I'm like, okay, I'm sure you get this a lot, but like North Pole, Alaska? Like, is it in Alaska? And she's like, yes, it's in Alaska. But it was funny. It was cool to talk to her.
Santa workshop is there?
Santa has a house there. I don't know about a workshop, but she's been to Santa's house, so I thought that was pretty cool.
She knows Santa.
And on the way to Hobbiton, backtrack a little bit, Katie did make fun of me. I wore a white sweatshirt to be exact, on the plane, and I spilled chocolate, Derek, all over it. I think I fell asleep with my chocolate. But this is what I think happened.
Dangerous thing to do.
The whole
Oh my
flight
God.
there, it was dark. Like, they barely turned the lights on at all until it was like 6 a.m. And it was discombobulating, but it was like, luckily when we left, it was after 11 p.m. In Dallas. So we like got to immediately go to sleep. But because it was immediately nighttime, like the lights were off the whole time. And they served one thing and it was gross. I was not going to eat it. So I pulled out a granola bar and I ate a granola bar. Well, my granola bar had chocolate chips in it. And what I think happened is that I dropped a chocolate chip on myself and then I fell back asleep and then I melted the chocolate chip on myself.
You cuddled with it.
And then I rubbed it all over myself. And I woke up and I went to the bathroom at one point and I just like looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like, what's on my sleeve? And I hold up my arm and I have chocolate all over me. All over me.
Sounds like Frank Gallagher was cuddling with you.
Okay, well, no. But
I was going to say, Jenna Baker, what happened?
I think that's what happened. And so then we get to our Airbnb in Auckland.
Jenna Jones.
We get to our Airbnb in Auckland. I brought a singular Tide stick with me, and I used the entire Tide stick on one article of clothing.
She went to town.
And it didn't even finish. It didn't even get it all yet. And I was like, well, this thing's worthless. Like, what the heck? Like, it ran out so fast.
Well, you're supposed to use it on a spot. You're not supposed to use it on a whole sweatshirt.
Yeah, well, there was about 20 spots, so I guess that's why it ran out so fast. And I'm like, we leave Auckland and we were driving, and get this, Derek, you're not a driver, but they drive on the opposite side of the road.
That would be so discombobulating.
They drive on the left side and the driver's seat is on the right side of the car.
Well, Jenna, I did that once. Don't you remember when I drove you and your friends while you guys were drunk and I had my permit and I got confused and started driving on the wrong side of the road?
Okay, but you were on the left side of the car. You
That
were
is
not
true.
on the right side of the car. But we had to drive on the left side of the road, the wrong side of the road. And we used it. It was very discombobulating. We only had one issue. The only time we actually did something wrong was when we were right after
When
we
you
had
hit the
gotten in the
possum.
car. No, apparently that was a good thing.
Apparently that was right.
So right after we got the car, Chris was driving and he pulled into a parking lot. And there was like a barricade in the middle and he went in on the right side instead of the left side. And I was like, I think you're supposed to go on the left side. And he's like, whatever. And luckily there wasn't any cars around, so it didn't matter. But it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, but it was Like you never really got comfortable doing it. You were always a little bit more on edge. And then, so on the way to Hobbiton, that's when we first got the car. I'm looking on my phone and I'm like, okay, here's the thing. I found this place. It's called Woolworths. It's the grocery store. And I found an Australian.
There used to be Woolworths here.
Oh, well, that's the brand that
Woolworth.
is
That's
all
interesting.
over New Zealand and Australia. So I find the Woolworths. I find this Australian brand that is a laundry stick. And I'm like, Chris, we have to stop at the grocery store because I found a laundry stick. And this laundry stick was so big. And I'm like, this thing is great. It's going to last me so many trips. And I did use it a lot after that. So I was glad I found that. But then after we left there, I was like, okay, I need to drive because Chris had every intention of partaking in the Hobbiton beer. And I was planning to drive home after Hobbiton. Our Airbnb was an hour away. So I was going to be driving an hour in the dark. And I'm like, I need to drive before I'm driving for the first time in the dark. Like, I don't want the first time I'm driving on the left side of the road to be in the dark. So then I did drive from the grocery store to Hobbiton, which is about 20 minutes, which was fine. And then I had to drive in the dark. And
Was it scary?
I was on edge because every single time a car passes you on the right side with headlights, you feel like you're going to get hit.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like it feels like you're about to have a head-on collision 100% of the time. And I was I was driving so slow and I was like so tense, and Chris kept telling me to calm down and like, it's going to be okay. Like, it's not that, like, you're fine. And I'm like, you haven't driven in the dark yet. I'm like, you don't know what it's like to see the headlights going on the right side. And then the next night he's driving, and it was like an hour drive home, and he's driving that time. And he's like, okay, you're right. It's pretty startling to see the headlights coming on the right side. I was like, I told you it's different than during the day.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
But we never got used to the whole headlight thing. That was definitely the worst part of all of it. Driving during the day was a lot easier. But there was a time when we were driving in Queenstown where we were driving on pretty like mountainous roads and like windy roads up the side of the mountain, and that was...
I don't like it.
I don't like doing it on the normal side of the road, so doing it on the wrong side of the road was hard.
I do have news.
Let me tell you about Perth. So we were in Sydney, and Sydney, if you look at a map, Sydney is on the lower right side of Australia, which is the lower east side of Australia.
South, otherwise
Southeast,
known as south.
Southeast,
lower.
I'm telling Derek so he gets
I
it. It's like down here. It's like southeast corner of Australia. Okay, Perth is just about the only city on the west coast. So Perth is all the way over here on the right, and
That's your left, babe.
that's my left. That's my left. I have a hard time with rights and lefts too, Derek. We learned this about you at the
You're
wedding.
both directionally challenged.
Perth is on the left. Sydney's on the right. I was in Sydney. Perth is the only major city on the west coast of Australia. But here's something I learned about Australia.
But you did not saw the stadium.
No.
No, I wasn't there. I didn't go there. That's what I'm saying. This is how big it is.
Now it makes sense now.
Okay, this is how big it is.
Didn't I went to the stadium?
But listen. So Perth is all the way over here, okay? And Sydney is all the way over here on the other side. And Australia is a big, huge, big island. The whole island of Australia is bigger than the lower 48 states.
Damn.
So that would be like driving from the East Coast to the West Coast.
So if you were to take an airplane,
It's definitely like that for sure.
if you took an
WWE
airplane,
goes back to Perth, Australia, we need to go.
if you took an airplane from New York City to LA, which would be the East Coast to the West Coast, it would take approximately 6.5 hours. It takes 6.5 hours to take an airplane from Sydney, Australia to Perth, Australia.
Wow.
It is so big.
That
I did
is
not realize it was
insane.
that big.
Yeah, I didn't realize it either.
The only reason the United States is bigger than Australia is because of Alaska.
That's the reason why you did not.
Not
like
Hawaii?
to-
However, there are 320 million people that live in the United States. There are 26 million people that live in Australia.
So you're telling me
Well,
right
that's
now
because
you
so
did
much
not
of it
wait
is
to-
uninhabitable.
Yeah, they can only live on the coasts.
Yeah. It's
Also,
all desert.
New Zealand has like 5 to 20 earthquakes every single day. Every single day. But most of the
Earthquake.
time, the majority of the time,
You can't
they are
feel it.
so small you can't feel it. But they have seismic topographers and geologists and stuff that study it.
Last time
And they
had
have 5 to
earthquake
20
here.
every single
Did
day.
you feel an earthquake while you were
We
there?
did not feel an earthquake while we were there, but there were some pretty major earthquakes while we were there, but they happened on the South Island while we were on the North Island. And then it was really cool that we got to go when we got to go, because then Chris's company actually did meet us in New Zealand. They happened to have a big trip planned. And so we got to go early and spend 10 days there by ourselves. And then we spent a couple days with Chris's company, but Chris's company only came to the South Island. And Chris and I really preferred the North Island, which is surprising
missed
to
out.
me because I love the mountains. And the majority of the mountains are in the South Island. And the South Island was gorgeous. But the North Island was just, I'm obsessed. Like the second place we went was Rotorua. And
That's where you went ziplining, right?
that's where we went ziplining. That's where we went whitewater rafting. That's where we went kayaking with glowworms.
So cool.
And
Glowworm.
glowworms. And let me tell you about glowworms. So our tour guide was
What
quite
about
the
piranhas?
no piranhas. I didn't hear anything about piranhas. Our tour guide was quite funny. He was like, "Yeah, this is really great marketing. You guys came all this way, paid all this money to go kayaking with some glow in the dark poop." Yep, glow in the dark poop.
That's
So-
just weird.
It's what it is.
Derek, does your poop glow in the dark?
No, it does
Only
not.
after he drinks that prime.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Wow, Mom.
Glowberry. But it was very cool. The glow in the dark poop is the innards of the bellies of larvae that turn into flies. Maybe could be getting that wrong. But they, for 9 months, they're in these cocoon-like things, and the food that they eat reacts with the bacteria in the bellies, which turns their poop into something that glows in the dark. And so they just are there on the trees and the rocks and the leaves, and that's just where their cocoons are. And there's hundreds and thousands of them, and they just glow at night. So we went on this kayak tour. It was very cool. And the tour was actually on a man-made lake. And a lot of the trees are also not native to New Zealand. And one thing that I thought was really interesting, because of the soil and just like the growing, I don't even know what to call it, like the landscape in New Zealand, trees out there grow so much faster. So they have a lot of like pine trees
Wow.
like you would see in America. And he was like, but those pine trees, if they were that big in America, they would be 40 years old. But here, they're
Wow.
only 12 years old.
I do think
I'm sorry.
My mic's on.
Vice versa. Flip that. Maybe.
No.
No,
said it
no.
right.
But the trees grow 2.5 times faster in New Zealand.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe because of their distance from the sun?
No, it has to do with the soil.
The
and
nutrients in the soil.
Yeah, and the land. But yeah, it was really cool. I learned so much. I plan to put together some sort of book with all the
you
stuff I
should.
learned and all the pictures that we took.
Well,
and-
yeah, you go online and put a whole picture book together and put all your notes in there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I literally took so many notes, especially the first few days when we were in the North Island and like Hobbiton, and then when we went ziplining and the glowworm tour. Like, the people that we met, we learned so much from them that every day, like Chris and I would sit down together over dinner or something, and we'd be like, okay, what did they say about this? What did they say about this? And we'd take all the notes, and I would.
What an amazing trip. I'm so thankful
It
you
really
two got to do
was.
that.
And I loved Auckland too. I mean, Auckland's just a city, but it was beautiful, and the hills. Chris didn't believe me that I have asthma. Oh my God. I almost had an asthma attack.
My freshman year roommates didn't believe me that I had asthma.
Chris, I was straight up the closest I have been to having an asthma attack in 15 years. And this man thought I was like being dramatic. And then the next day, cause I like went in the bedroom and I'm like literally on the bed. Like I was scared and I am like breathing in through my nose, out through my mouth. I'm counting. I'm trying to slow down my heart rate. Like my chest is the tightest it's ever been in years. And Chris is just like puts his headphones in, goes in the other room, just like chilling out on his phone and has no idea that I'm like legitimately having a problem. And then the next morning I'm like, okay, like I'm not trying to be dramatic, but I was seriously close to having an asthma attack last night. And
You
like,
didn't give a shit.
I was like actually kind of scared and like it would have been nice if you had paid a little bit more attention. And he's like, oh, that was real. And I'm like, oh, I wasn't kidding. He's like, I've known you for 7 years and I've never heard anything about asthma. I'm like, text my mother. I have exercise induced asthma. He's like, I've never heard of such a thing. I was like, well, it's real. I had an albuterol prescription back in the day. If I called up my doctor today and said I need an albuterol prescription, send it to Australia, they would do it. He's like, oh, I thought you were kidding.
Okay,
like,
well,
it's not a joke.
it's even more incredible that Maddie used to think that I was faking my asthma because my asthma is quite apparent.
Your asthma's a lot worse than mine. So for anybody to think you were thinking
Last
it,
time I remember we did take a trip to Michigan once, and you guys go to Valley Hills, and you guys were
that dune.
Oh yeah.
That almost triggered our asthma. That's probably since then the closest I've ever
well,
been.
babe, that was not 15 years ago.
You're right. I forgot about that though.
That was a big dune.
It was a big dune. We
You
walked
guys
up this hill.
almost had the freaking asthma attack.
The first night we were in Queenstown. Queenstown is mountain town. And the first night we were there, we walked down the hill and I was like, oh man, that is a steep hill. And then we were
You're like,
we
shit, now I gotta walk back up.
Yeah, and after dinner we went to walk back up. I had 2 drinks and we went to walk back up that hill and I
They all
seriously
went
thought
right to
I
our
was going to
head.
die. We did not walk up that hill again. We found a different way home that was still quite steep, but less steep than what that hill was. And then when all of the people from his work got there, Renaissance, we had a hill up to our hotel and everybody's huffing and puffing up this hill. And this hill was like 30 degrees, okay, compared to the hill we walked up that was like 70 degrees. And they were like, are you serious? It was that much steeper? I'm like, no. It was that much steeper. And then we went up the gondola and you could see it from the gondola. And I'm like, do you guys see that yellow house right there? Because our Airbnb was right across from this yellow house. And I'm like, do you see the hill? And they're like, oh shit, that's really big hill. And I'm like, I know. Like it was a big hill. Derek, we also did this thing. We went into an ice bar. The whole bar was made of ice.
That's crazy.
And they wore hats.
We wore hats. Our cups were made of ice.
Oh, that sounds chilly. But I guess
We had gloves.
I guess that you don't need ice cubes if you
No.
have an ice cup.
No, and when you get rid of your cups, you get to chuck it at this ice wall, and it breaks and goes into the trash can, and then they remake new cups. And
I
they
hope they sterilize it.
they sure served shots in ice shot glasses, and everything anywhere you can sit. If you need to sit, it's on ice.
To make your butt cold.
No, yeah, I mean it did, but they do have like
Blankets.
and stuff down. But then if you make it, and you can only pay to go in there for an hour, and if you make it the full hour, the last song they play is Ice Ice Baby.
Did you make it?
Well, of course we made it.
Well,
There was
Some
a
people
group
don't
of
make the whole hour.
Oh,
they,
no,
they
we
get
were
too
the
cold
only
and
ones.
they just leave.
They just leave. We were the only ones in there for the full hour, but there was a group of 8 of us that were all Renaissance people, and we were definitely staying the whole hour. Like that was not a negotiable thing.
very cool.
But yeah, it was really cool. And then
Well, I'm glad you had
I don't
fun.
know. We had so much fun and we like learned so much. We got to go to 2 zoos. We went to the zoo in Auckland and the zoo in Sydney.
Well,
We
that's
did
probably why
go
you didn't see
to-
any koala bears in Auckland. Or did they have them?
No,
That's New
they
Zealand.
have yeah, no, they didn't have koalas at the Auckland Zoo. We
Right, 'cause
saw
they
koalas.
don't have them in New
Yeah.
Zealand.
Yeah, they do have a kangaroo exhibit, but it was under construction, so there was no kangaroos. And they have wallabies up there too, which wallabies are like smaller kangaroos. They're a little
Wallaby
different,
way.
but they're at one point I did look up 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney, and we could have walked there, but we didn't have time. So, but I did see it on the map. It
My
was walkable.
childhood dream.
I know. I didn't even think about it. The only reason I saw it is because we were staying at the Four Seasons.
One
So I
place a
typed
day.
in the letter 4, and the first thing that popped up was 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Oh
I
my
can't believe you
God.
didn't think of that. I would have seen the Opera House and been like, "Oh my God, Finding Nemo."
I know. It just like didn't even. I don't know. I'll tell you what.
Where's Nemo.
Seeing that Opera House in person, it is iconic. It
It's
truly
beautiful.
is.
Look beautiful.
From
It was
every
so cool. All the
angle.
photos you
You
sent,
saw
I've been showing you off at
the
work for
dentist?
weeks. I'm like, look at what my
We didn't
sister's
see the
doing.
dentist, but we did
The
when we were in
dentist.
Sydney. We
Darla
took a
her
yacht
braces.
ride, and we had lunch on the yacht, and they took us all throughout the bay. And the view of like the bridge and the Opera House. We saw the Opera House from like every single direction. It
Kate,
was
don't
super
touch
cool. And then I did have kangaroo pizza, Derek.
Yeah, that's crazy.
There is so many freaking kangaroos. When the people first arrived in Australia, they say that there was approximately 5 million kangaroos. There is 55 million kangaroos in Australia now.
More than people.
Yes.
Do you know that Australia
the amount
was
of people,
originally a penal colony from England? They sent their criminals to Australia.
No, I mean that they're still under the English monarch.
Well,
They're-
I know, but I'm saying, but originally
no,
they sent their criminals
absolutely.
there. That's
And here's
They're
the
a tough
criminals.
stock.
Hey,
the
if I knew I
criminals-
was gonna get to go to Australia, I might start breaking some laws.
Well, and it really wasn't like criminals like what you think of a criminal
Maybe not.
nowadays. It was criminals like the man we went on a pub crawl one day in Australia, and that's when we actually learned the most in Sydney, was because we had this guy. His name was Colin, but he was like, you'll learn that people in Australia, they don't do names with 2 syllables. Everybody's name gets shortened. So my name is Call. And so he was our tour guide, and he was telling us about how the people came there from
England.
England, and when they came from England, it was actually James Cook who founded it, and James Cook found the South Island of New Zealand and Australia. And he went back to England, and he's like, I found this awesome place. You guys got to come with me, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, no, we don't need that, because at the time they were sending all of their criminals to the United States.
Oh, well, there you go.
And when
that's why we ended up this way.
and when the United States said, screw you guys, fought for their freedom and won, they're like, well, shit, where are we going to send all our criminals? And then they started sending them to New Zealand or to
Interesting.
Australia. And our tour guide, his name is Carl, his great grandfather was a criminal who was sent from Britain. And
What was his crime?
was stealing food for his family.
Oh, wow.
So the criminals, they called them criminals, but the majority of them were for petty crimes.
They were just
And
poor
they were
people.
poor.
They were poor.
Get it, Brittany?
And now all of their ancestors live
Brittany,
in Australia instead of living in London. So I feel like they won.
Yeah. Well,
They totally won.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
I've not been to either place, so I don't have a.
Derek was just over here singing some Britney Spears. Mama, I'm in love with a criminal.
yeah, but it was so cool. Like, I mean, it was just unbelievable, all of the things that we got to do and how much we learned. I wrote so many things down.
Oh, baby.
Happy 1 month of marriage.
I know.
Yeah,
it
you've
is
been married
1 month.
1 month today, haven't you?
I know. So yeah, it was great. And I feel like I could tell you so much more. We did go up in the Sky Tower in Auckland. That was super, super
Yeah,
cool.
hell no. Katie Baker out.
Okay, well, what was funny
Derek
was
Baker
Chris was like, blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty sure this is taller. Like, this isn't as tall as the arch. And I'm like, are you sure? Like, this feels taller than the arch. And turns out he was quite wrong. And this is like 3 times as tall as the
I'm
arch.
shocked. He was wrong about that.
We did not jump off of it. But we did
Do
go
they
up
have
there.
that option?
Yeah, they did it on The Bachelor.
Oh, is that where they were?
That's what Jen did with like that Marcus guy or something.
Oh.
Yeah.
It wasn't Marcus, but yeah.
No, it was the redheaded guy. Kinda.
Whatever, you know what I'm talking about. He jumped off.
God,
The
this is
beard
gonna bother
and the
me.
beard and the mustache. That
I thought it was Marcus.
It wasn't Marcus because
No.
this guy was like very unsupportive of her,
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yes,
But it
yes,
wasn't
yes.
and we
Marcus,
were
you're
like,
right.
"We're done with you."
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I'm not gonna come up with his name right now, which is gonna drive me crazy too. But it was the Sky Tower was really cool. We went down and we were able to get drinks at the Sky Tower bar, and then we like had drinks over. It was the 51st floor. That's how far up we were.
oh wow.
And we were having drinks, and you could see like all of Auckland.
And that's where you stood on like a glass floor, right?
That's where we stood on the glass floor, which
Yeah.
Chris was like, "It's no big deal," and I was like, "It's pretty terrifying, actually."
Yeah, I don't think I could do that.
But
It was
yeah,
the new
we did.
Luke P.
We did do it. But yeah,
By
it
the way,
was.
before
Sam,
we
Yes, that's right.
But he totally gave Luke P vibes.
Sam.
He did. Sam, that's right. You're right.
before we continue with this,
Okay, we
welcome
got
back, Jenna.
Thank you so much. It is time to wrap up. So what do you have anything else you want to share?
Closing statements.
Well, I do have the biggest surprise.
Oh, one more thing. So we stayed on this sheep farm in Rotorua. I'm obsessed with it. If I ever go back to New Zealand, I will literally work hard to stay at this exact same Airbnb again because it was so freaking cool. I loved every second of it. And they had this adorable little guest book that they asked all the guests to sign and leave a message. And I'm flipping through it, and there was a couple, Nicole and Zach, who got married and stayed there on their honeymoon from St. Louis, Missouri 2 months ago in January. So I thought that was super cool. I was like, this gal's going to read this and be like, what the
We
heck,
never
St. Louis,
met
Missouri.
them.
But it was so cute. We're sitting there. First of all, they had a dog that came
Wait
and
a minute.
visited us.
I know a Nicole that just recently got married.
Did she marry a Zach?
I don't know,
We have to find out.
but I thought she got married.
So it was January of 2025 was when they were there. But they did have a dog named Ruby that came to visit us, which was super cool. I got to feed
dog.
I got to feed the sheep. They had chickens. We didn't see the
Lucky.
piglets, but there was apparently piglets. But we never got to see the piglets. And then I'm standing there and I'm doing laundry, and we hear this little knock at the door, and I open the door, and there's this adorable little 7-year-old boy, and he says, "Hi, I'm Colin." And I'm like, "Hi, Colin, I'm Jenna." And I look out the doors. He had ridden his bike down. I'm like, "Did you ride your bike down here?" And he's like, "Yes, I did." And Colin and I talked for like 15 minutes while I was doing my laundry. Colin talked to me, and he told me about his mountain bike racing, and he told me about the sheep farm, and he told me about the fat sheep that's the girl, and she's the only one that likes the guests because she likes all the treats. And I
That's
asked
why she's fat.
yeah, and I asked him about their cat Spotty because they did tell us that they had a cat, and he said, "Oh, you won't see Spotty. Spotty sleeps all day and hunts all night." And we said, "Okay, good to know. Well, if you see Spotty, let him know. We'd like a visit." And I said, "Colin, what do you do when it gets cold outside during the summer, which is their summer and our summer, but their summers are cold?" I said, "What do you do when
Isn't that really their winter though?
Okay, maybe they call it their winter. I don't know. Yeah, they call it winter, but it's our summer." And I
Okay.
said, "Sorry, when we have summer, they have winter," and I got that wrong. My bad. Anyways, I'm like, what do you do in the winter when it gets cold?" And he goes, "Oh, we go to Germany." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." He's like,
Okay.
so I guess that's where they summer when it's cold outside in the winter. They're like, "Yeah, we don't stay here when it's cold outside." I'm like, "Okay, good to know." But yeah, it was funny to get to talk to him.
I wonder how cold it really gets there. I feel like it wouldn't get that cold.
Well, I mean, Queenstown's a ski town.
There you go.
Get down. That's pretty cool.
This was in the
Okay,
Northern
we do need
Island,
to wrap
but-
this up.
Okay, you finish. I'm
What?
good.
Well, I do have breaking news.
All right.
Tell us.
Give us your breaking news and then do an outro.
And I got one more thing we have to
Okay, we'll do it.
add
I'm going to wet my
after.
pants.
So
And I will too.
So get her done.
I'm gonna wet
Oh,
your pants, Derek.
That's so scary. Let him finish.
That's just scary.
Go.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen,
Boys
I give
and
you
girls.
boys and girls. Thank you, Katie. WrestleMania will be in New Orleans,
Louisiana.
LA.
Nope. Oh, well,
Yeah.
okay.
New Orleans in
Lower Alabama.
2026.
In 2026.
That's awesome. Okay.
Is that awesome or what?
That is pretty cool. I do
Maybe
love
we can
some
go
New
visit
Orleans.
Tanner.
I'll let Tanner know to pick you up from the airport and take you to WrestleMania.
Tanner would love it.
Hey, Tanner, I'm sending
Okay.
Derek down for the weekend. Good luck.
That could be fun.
Okay.
And just get ready for next week because we do have WrestleMania in Las Vegas. Even though we're not going this year, but we do have the big WrestleMania party. This house will be Las Vegas. Decorations, food, WrestleMania. In fact, we might take this shindig to Starbucks.
Okay.
All
WrestleMania
right.
party it is. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for letting me share. I'm
my
so happy to be
baby.
back. I'm happy to be with all of you guys. Oof, the jet lag is real, but that's okay. We'll survive.
Oh, one more thing. Yeet!
Yeet.
Thanks
Peace.
for being here. Like, subscribe. Find us on all platforms. Baker Banter. Don't forget about Cameo.
Check out the merch.
Happy
We'll talk to you
birthday,
guys
Derek.
next time.
Thank you.
Peace.
And let's finish the big one, okay?
Okay, the big one.
one. Yeet!